about to chop it up. Come to the show. We got some things we can talk about. Chop it up. Chop it, chop it, chop it, chop it up. Chop it. We got some things we can talk about. Chop it up. Chop it, chop it, chop it up. Chop it up. Chop it. We got some things we can talk about.
You are now tuned in to the Chop Shop with your host, Pastor Marvin McKenstry Jr. Let's chop it up.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Chop Shop. I'm your host, Pastor Marvin McKenstry. Excited again that we get the privilege and opportunity to bring you another episode of the Chop Shop, and today promises to be fire. The first thing I need you to do is to like, love, share this broadcast, even tag people in the comments that you believe should be here, because we're going to have a great show for you tonight. Before I move any further, I got to bring on my right hand and my left hand, my main man on the ones and twos, Mr. Shaka D Pitts, making the magic happen. Techniques 1200, because anything else is undignified. What's up, Shot?
Yeah, I'm good, brother. How you doing today?
Man, I'm doing great, man. My heart is broken, man. I'm seeing this uptick in murder suspects being captured, which sounds like a good thing, except they're arresting them in Baltimore high schools.
Yeah. You think you're gonna be happy, right?
Yeah, man.
Nah, what they say, same thing, make you laugh, make you cry, good brother. Like,
look,
it's real out here.
Myself, man. And I know with our guest tonight, we're gonna get into some of that juvenile crime in Baltimore City, but I got to bring on the co-host, the ladies that make the show what it is, man. We are talking about the one and only Miss Hot Take herself. Y'all, welcome to the stage, Lady Lisha. What's up, Lady Lisha?
How y'all doing?
How you feeling?
I'm feeling great. The weather's beautiful. It was a good day.
That's right, y'all. And y'all know, last but certainly not least, we got to bring on the one and only Miss Chelsea, the Thekeptwoman. What's up, Chelsea?
Good evening, everyone. How are you?
Chelsea making all of us look like we're inferior with her professional headphones.
Oh, no. You know what? I didn't want the dog to start barking.
I love it, though. I love it. You look like you're ready to go live from Washington, D.C. They look more radio-ish, though. They do. People don't know.
From the chopper. Nah, she up in the chopper. She in the chopper giving it up.
All right, man. Listen, again, we got a fire show for y'all tonight. As I said, like this broadcast, love it, share it, tag people in the comments that should see it. But let's get to these church announcements. Coming up to you first and foremost, as always, the Stop the Beef hotline. That's never going to change until we have no murder in Baltimore. The Stop the Beef hotline is an initiative of the men of the We Are Us movement. It's on and popping. When you make that phone call to that Stop the Beef hotline number, 443-431-3705 or 443-522-7848, a man answers the phone. As you see, there's no police involvement. So if there's anybody worrying about getting that label, squeak, squeak, Mickey Mouse that nobody wants in Baltimore, that's not what we do. But we will come out and do intervention all the way up into paying debts and getting you out of harm's way. If we got to put you on a bus, plane, train, or automobile to get you away, we'll do that. But we got to stop the beef and preserve life in Baltimore. So walking hand in hand with the Stop the Beef hotline, we have the Baltimore Peace Agreement. Y'all listen, this thing is all over the place today. The Baltimore Peace Agreement has been making the rounds for about 3 years now, and we go into communities and we get brothers to sign off to say even if they got to eat in the streets, they ain't got to kill or die in the streets. I know that it works because we have in my neighborhood down in the Lexington Terrace community, we're almost at 2 years, y'all. Count them. You ain't heard about it on the news because it ain't about publications, but almost 2 years with no non-fatal shootings or homicides in the Lexington Terrace, Poe Homes, Poppleton Place community, and we're excited about that. Brothers behind the walls on the street, used to be's, wannabes, got together, put our heads together, came up with a 10-point plan to keep peace in the city of Baltimore. If it haven't came to a neighborhood, your neighborhood, give a call to the men of the We Are Us Men's Movement. We'll be there. All right, y'all, I got to take a moment, and I got to take a big moment because this is one of those ones that's jerking on my heart. Many people know him as Big C. I know him as my little brother, Coy. Just a brother that has done a lot for the community, a brother like me who had a testimony and decided with the latter part of his life, he was going to do any and everything that he could to make life better. I remember when I first became a pastor, Coy on his birthday wanted to have a breakfast at my church where he would feed the community. And y'all, we did just that with his sister Tanya Reynolds. We got together, we opened up the doors of the church and had hot breakfast for everybody. It was in February, but the people got fed hot food, y'all. My brother has gone home to be with the Lord. We're going to be funeralizing him tomorrow. But I want to take this moment to say, Big C, we love you, brother, and thank you so much for your contribution to the city of Baltimore. A person who, with one word, could stem the tide of violence in our community. Your legacy and your name will always ring out. We praying for your children. Lord Corey, who is really big Corey, his son about 13 bigger than me, because Corey, Big C, was a big guy himself. But man, your legacy will be as big and larger than life as you are. And we love you. Thank you for everything that you've done. All right, y'all, 2 p.m. 2 p.m. on Thursdays. The Mayor's Office of Employment Development is bringing to you the Employ Baltimore show. Today we had on there Humanum, who was touting their upcoming administrative assistant clerical program that's absolutely free and is attached to anchor institutions in Baltimore. When you complete that training, you get into a job. If you want to hear about opportunities, such as that and others, you need to tune in at Thursdays at 2 o'clock. Go to the Mayor's Office of Employment Development Facebook page, and you can still watch the broadcast on the playback. So you can send that person that needs that job or that training opportunity to go get it. Get them up off your couch, get them up out that basement, tell them go get their bag. All right, y'all, we need your help. I got to give Shaka the updated flyer. The age has been changed to 7 to 14, but we're doing a completely free flag football league in the summer. We didn't go out and do the paint the neighborhood this week with the flyers and everything because we had to make the change, and we're going to be spending our time tomorrow honoring Big C. But the flyers are going to come out. You scan that little QR code, register your child. It's completely free. Completely free. We're going to start off with a skills clinic, then we're going to have a draft. The coaches are excited. And this is one of the things that we're doing as a local initiative in our community to make sure that young people have something to do to tire them out so that they can stay away from violence. Listen, it's that easy, y'all. We put a flyer together, we got some equipment, and now we got us a lead. Make sure you're considering what you need to do in your neighborhood because it don't always have to take grant money or be a heavy lift. Just do what you got to do to make sure that the young people have something to do. All right, y'all. Father-son basketball game happening tomorrow at 3 p.m. It's going to be at the Robert Marshall Recreation Center. There's going to be resources out there, live performances. My man Tagana Duncan has been doing this for a few years, y'all, and it's an awesome, awesome experience. So make sure that y'all come out. My man Rainbow Israel is going to be rocking the house. Listen, y'all, conscious Christian rap or Christian conscious because it's listen, he's Jesus first. That's my brother. I need y'all to make sure that y'all come down there, man. The fathers and sons get out there and they play basketball, and it's all about mentoring and love. And Rainbow gonna rock the house. Y'all make sure that y'all in the place, show your support, send a seed, do something to make sure that this thing is elevated to the level it needs to, so that our boys have a testimony of being with good men. Father's Day, hallelujah. Father's Day, hallelujah. Father's Day at Victory House Worship Center, man. Listen, in June, I've been sitting down. This is my mid-year rest that I take every June. And I'm sitting down, and the men in the house are going forward. My son, Pastor Theo Thomas Jr. of the New Commandment Church, is going to be leading worship. And y'all see the lineup. My brother Xavier Clark, my man Coach V. Vernell, my man brother Larry, my man Jason Boogie Wilson, you seen him on the videos dancing. The bishop himself, Bishop Tyrone, and Pastor Derek Stevenson are going to come on Sunday, and they all going to take their time and take their turn, and they're going to bring a word around fatherhood. I'm excited about these men. You can join us on Zoom or Facebook Live. Whatever you do, bring a man to the house, get him in front of the computer, because I'm sure that men are going to be edified on Sunday. All right, right after that, I got to drive out to Essex. My good homeboy set me up. I didn't know it was on Father's Day when I said yes. Shock, I was thinking it was like Saturday on Father's Day. They got me. But I'm going to be driving straight out to Essex to be a part of this elite group of men that are going to be having a prayer and worship brunch. And to be honest with y'all, I can't think of a better time to bring men together than on Father's Day. It's going to be free food. Everything is free. What you need to do is bring a man out there, let him get some of this good food in the natural, but definitely this spiritual food. Shout out to my bro, Bishop Donnie Neal, who organized and orchestrated this, and the great men that are coming together. My brother Kenny Flight, Bishop A.C. Taylor, my man coming down from Pennsylvania, Apostle Kenneth Gale, of course, yours truly, and Minister Kenneth Butler, y'all. We going to pray. some things in order, and we're going to praise our way through. Y'all hear that organ in the background? Shaka ain't playing with y'all. That's it, y'all. That's all the church announcements. It's time to get to what we came here to do, and I am so excited. Man, this guy became a brother a little while ago. Man, I got memories attached to him. Now, I remember one time we were on a show, and my grandmother had taken sick while we were on the air, and I literally had to abort and abandon the show, and Jovani Patterson and Shaka just took over. And I said, man, I called him to apologize. And he said, oh, no, man, we held it down. We had your back. I met this brother. He kind of caught my attention while he was running for city council president. And I just kind of, his position and his posture on certain issues was real. And since then, over time, we've had the opportunity to kind of come together and talk about some things. You've seen him on the news in a variety of issues. I'm not going to go into detail about it because that's what he's here to do. But he is one of the founding members of the P.E.A.C.E organization, which is an organization in Baltimore that is trying to bring consciousness to our voters. Y'all, we got to change these bad voting habits in Baltimore. Stay complaining, but voting the same. You can find them at www.peacebaltimore.com, but you're not going to find them there like you're going to find them here. Y'all, welcome to the stage, my friend and my brother, Mr. Jovani Patterson. Jay, what's up, good man?
What's up, man? Like I never know what to do, man. Y'all like the energy is always like just so crazy on your show, man. like
I don't know if that's good or bad.
I don't know how to keep up, man. I don't know how to keep up, bro.
I don't know if it's good or bad.
Hey,
that's a good thing, man. That's a good thing.
I got me spinning right now. I don't know how to take that.
Man, keep doing what you do, man. Like you one of the at least I admire you, man. You're a bright spot in Baltimore City. And we got bright spots all over, but I want to highlight you, man. It's so great to just know real people, and I do think it's great that we've crossed paths and been able to connect. And you weren't one of those people to just say, man, that guy's a certain way. He's Baltimore's most lovable Republican, and I'm just gonna hate him anyway. Like you didn't say it. Like you gave me a chance and sat down and talked with me and. You brought plus to the table, and man,
that was one of my favorite nights ever, man. I think, listen, if you're talking about debates, nothing Biden and Trump did can hang with what Plus and Jovani did right here on the Chop Shop, y'all. I love it, but the brothers did it in good spirit and found out there was some commonality in your love for Baltimore, and I think that's where we have to be. I thank you for the accolades, man, but I learned a while ago that, the only thing we do by shutting people out is miss the opportunity to learn and grow. Mm-hmm. So I'm glad that you've always openly and without any resistance accepted the invitations, because you didn't know if I was going to get you on here and try to dog walk you. You just came because you're a man of conviction and you stand on your principles, man, and I love and appreciate that about you.
Well, I appreciate it, man. And now you got the crew up there, Miss Lady Lisha, Miss Chelsea. Yeah, come on, man. Y'all growing, man. I want to see y'all grow up, 1 million followers on YouTube. Y'all keep growing, man. Keep doing the thing, man. Be consistent.
Look, it can't stay the same, man. Everything has got to grow. If it was what it was when I started with bad lighting and all that sort of thing. I remember them days. I need to go back and look at one of them old shows and humble myself.
That's what you got to do. Best ones, man.
That's right. Bad lighting, trying to put a plant back there so I have a background. Then I had the TV with the logo behind. I ain't had no green screen, nothing.
That's a plant.
Right.
That's what it
is.
It
wasn't even a real plant shop. It wasn't. But let's get to what we come here to talk about, the P.E.A.C.E organization, man. And I want you to give us some history and all of that sort of thing. But talk to us a little bit about the P.E.A.C.E organization. I don't think anybody can discuss it or talk about it the way that you can. And I'm excited for people to hear, because one thing about the Chop Shop, you're going to get every side of the story. Watch this, that's willing to speak. So if you ever say, Marvin, why you ain't had this person? It wasn't that we ain't invite them.
Yeah.
They ain't come. But talk to the people, tell them about the P.E.A.C.E organization and what it's designed to do.
So PEACE stands for People for Elected Accountability and Civic Engagement. And essentially there's two parts to that, right? You have elected accountability. We want to be able to hold our elected officials accountable. But one, we have to examine what it means to hold them accountable. what tools exist today to hold our elected officials accountable, and what tools need to, be revamped or created to help hold elected officials accountable. And the second part of that is, civic engagement, and really just getting people back involved in that that voting, that civic process. Like how important the votes are. It's not just one, every 4 years you set and forget. This is a set and inspect process, and it's important for us as a community, us as voters, to remember that. And ultimately, our goal is to bring power back to the people. Right? When you look at Baltimore City budget, when you look at this outlined in the documents that exist, the people are at the top of this organization. But a lot of times our people don't feel that way. They don't get that sense. They feel, a lot of times you get a lot of political apathy of that's just the way things are always been. That's just the way things are going to be. There's not much I can do to change it. I have no power. I have no say in this. And that's the paradigm we're attempting to shift with P.E.A.C.E and what we're doing. Now, one thing that we've done already, we might have known it as Question K in the 2022 election cycle, but we've brought term limits to Baltimore City. So what we've done is reduce the power of the incumbency, where an elected official can just sit in that position, and because of the name recognition and because of they're already kind of a staple in that seat, or really oftentimes using a family name, we're able to reduce that, those people staying in office, but also bring forth, new political ideas, new faces, new fresh faces, to keep people more engaged inside the civic process.
Well, I'm excited about it because when we looked at Question K, I heard some different views and opinions, and I'm not talking about from the people whose cheese it seemed like was being moved, which was the elected officials. I heard some interesting takes on it from people who were not in support of Question K, but literally the takes that I heard, and I don't know if this is the one thing that hasn't been talked about publicly, is because of how it was going to shift what favor and access they had coming out of City Hall. So it wasn't about what that meant for the city and for the people, but if I'm talking about some pretty influential people who, because their favorite council person might not maintain that seat, and whatever flow it meant for them was against Question K. Did you encounter any of that while you guys were pushing for that particular piece of legislation?
Well, yeah, I mean, there was some of that stuff that came out, maybe not directly, but you could definitely sense it. And, but that's part of the issue that we're facing, right? If you're not one of those connected individuals, you don't get your services, right? If you don't know, if you're not at your councilman's barbecue, then you can't get your trash picked up. And that's not the environment we need to create in Baltimore City, right? All of us are paying taxes. All of us are participating in this, elected, the voting process, the civic engagement process. It should benefit all of us. And if we're talking about equity, if we're talking about equality, then if you're saying that you get better treatment because of your relationship with X council member, then that's not equity. That's not equality by definition.
Facts.
Well, I know personally, I'm just returning back to Baltimore City. And in the recent election, I did have the opportunity to vote for Question K, and I'm representing the general population. I think that was the only piece of legislation I ever actually researched. And I think it's because you actually put the information out there so that we can find it. So I just want to say thank you for having that information, available for us to do the research and to know what this piece of legislation was even going to be about.
Shaka, we're going to get you jump in, but I do want you to talk about that a little bit, Jovani, because you guys did what was necessary to simplify the language. I think it's important that we help people understand that, because some of the problem that we have with a lot of those ballot questions is the fact that the language is too elaborate for people to really either read, or so long that you ain't taking time to do that.
Yeah.
Right. So I think the public discourse of it, because one, it was the only people-led initiative on the ballot, right? There's two ways to get things on the ballot. One way is through, city council. If it's something that's changing the charter, then they have to go to the people to change the charter. So, questions, what was it, A through J, were changes to the charter sponsored by the council, right? But the people-led initiative, I mean, we had to collect signatures. We collected over 20,000 signatures. So there's kind of, some groundwork here. So we had to begin explaining this to people, right? So we had to collect the signatures, and then there was a bit of a campaign for it because there was some opposition that came out about it, right? But to me, this is beneficial to the engagement process because people are talking about it, right? Even if we had lost, right, we were talking about Question K, and people were back involved, right? And that's the biggest thing that's missing, I think, from our elected process and proceedings, is that we're not talking about these things. The conduit deal. Now we're talking about it after the election because the people voted for it, knowing what, assuming what it meant, and then something else happened against the people after the election. But because we didn't have that political pressure beforehand talking about these things, right? Mm-hmm. It's almost like how it's just going to get swept under the rug because people don't know what they're talking about, right? So again, I just believe it's a net positive, even if we had lost, right? Even if Question K didn't get passed, right? Is that we're talking about these things in the civic engagement process. Even, look, man, the reason you guys are having me on the show, I'm a Republican, right? And I'm here talking because
I keep forgetting.
In 2020, right? In 2020, we had this election. I was trying, I did the best I could. I really didn't run a campaign when you're talking about the way campaigns are run, but I was doing the best I could, and we're still talking about it, man. I think that's beneficial, net positive for. Even though we lost, even though my side, I lost, Jovani Patterson on the ballot lost, I think it's a net positive for Baltimore City because we're still continuing to talk about these things. And the more we talk about it, the more that critical thinking aspect of our being is activated, and we're able to engage across the community. We say, oh, my property taxes are way too high. I pay taxes like, no, that's too high. I don't want my taxes. Oh, these elected officials, they're not doing what they need to do. They work for me. I pay them to do their job. I should be able to hold them more accountable. So we start talking about these things and stop, letting the things just be as they are. We're taking our responsibility back.
So Jovani, I'm glad that this is where you at because I have something on the other side of it. So a few times before on the Chop Shop, we spoke about having our politicians, right, who have skin in the game for our community. We back them, right? How do we get them successful in the run, right? Because last time, I'm gonna be honest, it was real discouraging because we had some good people, who I'm like, damn, I like I like this person. It's like none of them won. So it's like how do you talk to those people who want to get involved on that side of the fence? It's like, I want to run. I want to try to make a difference. It's like, why? No one gets past the gatekeepers. No one gets past the old guard. So how do we address that? Are we speaking? When I say we, I mean, is P.E.A.C.E, does P.E.A.C.E speak to that, or is it just on the civilian side of the fence?
So we are, but they have to be people focused, candidates. So we are looking to help people get elected, right? But they have to be presented by the people, supported by the people, and we're going to do our part to help out, right? But the ultimate thing is being accountable to the people, and we have to set that standard of what that is, right? Responsiveness, like, are you just going to get in office and be, ignore me? And we have to kind of lay out what those things mean to be in office. Again, I say government is not a set and forget process. It's set and inspect, right? This is the other part that, we don't necessarily remember that we have. We're too distracted by everything oftentimes, like whatever it is, rightfully so, jobs, kids, work, whatever it is. But we have we have political pressure and social power to move and change things, right? If we're all banging down the doors of North Avenue, do you think things will change, right? If more people are not saying, Look, that's just the way it's always been. It's been like that for 30, 40 years, right? And we're standing outside every day on North Avenue trying to fix these schools. Do you think things will change, right? Or if we do the same thing downtown for unifying under, hey, our government is not being accountable to us and we're showing up. But because we say, hey, you know, maybe somebody else can take care of it, or we say whatever I say doesn't matter. You know, we don't necessarily exercise our power to actually hold the elected officials accountable. But to answer your question, yes, we are looking to put forward great quality people, right, that want to, you know, run for office, that can be accountable, can be transparent, and you know, get them in office.
Copy that. Appreciate you.
Come on, Lady Lisha.
Y'all know the church finger went up. I had a question. So you keep mentioning the fact that you're a Republican. For me, it doesn't really matter because I have we're not going to talk about me, but you keep mentioning that you're a Republican. Typically and traditionally, people in Baltimore that have pledged their allegiance to the Democratic Party go down the list and they just check off all of the Democratic candidates. How do we get the people to have more of a nonpartisan perspective when it comes to investigating the person for the job?
You asked a hard thing, Lisha.
Well,
It's been a one-party town for so long. Talk to us, Jovani.
Well, the first thing is you have to remember all politics are local, right? So oftentimes we get caught up into the federal or the national narratives that we forget to look at what's going on locally. Now, listen, I'll be first to bash the Republican Party because they, you know, right now there's some trash, right? And they don't represent the values that I see as a Republican, right? Because I'm more of a Frederick Douglass type Republican, right? I value life, liberty, you know, freedom, those type of things. And I'm not sure what's going on with them now, but think of me like more like Frederick Douglass than what's going on now.
So let me ask you this: are you a Republican or conservative?
Well, you know, politically, I would say a Republican, but I'm very, very much so a conservative.
Because I believe I'm not a registered Republican. I'm conservative.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because for me, it's all about the values, not so much about, you know, the partisan aspect of it.
Absolutely. So to that point, though, we have to start remembering to vote our values, right? Start voting our values. And if there are candidates that don't align, whether they look like you, have the same party as you, if they're not aligning with your values, then don't vote for that guy or girl, right? So we have to start, instead of just going towing the party line, right? You know, being obedient, you have to go and start voting your values. And I think it's important for one, examine your values. What are your values? Do you want to see economic freedom and economic opportunities in your neighborhood? Do you want to see, you know, safety? Do you want to see jobs? Do you want to see quality education? Do you want to see, you know, generational wealth being able to be passed down in your neighborhood? Do you want to be able to say, hey, I have a neighborhood where you can come here, grow, you can build your family. Your family is safe. They're going to get a quality education. You can start a job, start a business, be an entrepreneur, create right here in Baltimore City. And I, for daggone sure, believe that is Baltimore City. And we just have to unleash our power to get there.
Come on, Chelsea, run your question to us.
I just want to ask, do you thank you for being here. One, do you intend on running again?
If God leads me in that direction.
It's a little early for that question. We normally reserve it for the end. Forget him.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, I just love his zeal. No, I just love his zeal, and it really isn't about. I'm like Lisha. It doesn't really. I'm not concerned with Republican or Democrat. It's your heart that I see. That is, you know, that your zeal. You're excited, and that's the thing that people need. People, we're not informed. They're not informed. It's basically a popularity contest as far as when they're voting, who they know or what. And like you, I just like your zeal. Yeah.
So Jovani, you on the hot seat. We get to say we heard it here.
No, you don't have to.
Oh, too late, sister.
I mean,
you don't put that, you know, because we ain't putting that toothpaste back in.
Now, all eyes on you, bro.
Oh man. So look, if God says to do it, I'll do it. Like, I didn't plan on running the last time, and one thing led to another, and it happened. But right now, I know, our work through peace is to work to really engage and work on avenues that bring power back to the people, whether it's economically, in the political process, putting more money back in your pockets, putting more power back in the hands of the voters. That right now, that's my mission. If it turns into me running for office, then so be it. But right now, I'm gonna just put one foot in front of the other one and go where God says go.
Hey
Awesome.
Marv, hold on. We made it, yo, because that's officially the Fox 45 answer. We done made it.
Yes,
That was the official Fox 45 answer, baby. You know, hey, he did everything. He did everything except focus on his family. He did
Right,
everything except he wanted to focus on his family.
right. Come on,
Hey,
double.
wow.
man, that was good. That was good. I got a question. So a lot of my younger cousins and nephews, like they all went to HBCUs and they've come out, young black men, and they are Republican, like they are cutthroat Republican. And I'm excited about it. Like I don't have an issue with it. I'm very excited about it. What is happening with this next generation of young black men that are having a different perspective when it comes to the political parties?
Oh man, I think everybody needs to go on their journey to find those type of answers, right? And I'm not saying that to avoid the question, right? Because there's a reason, one becomes Democrat or Republican. But for me, and especially as a black man, right? There were some elements of truth that I just started to research and understand, and then just see in day-to-day life that resonated more with my values and me being a person that aligned more with the written principles of the Republican Party, not necessarily the executed principles of the Republican Party, but the written principles of the Republican Party. So when you start examining those types of things with your character, your value system versus what the party is supposed to stand for, then that's where what made the decision, what helped me move over, right? And then when you start looking at history and the meaning of the Republican Party, why it was founded, and what it did as soon as it was founded, and as soon as we had the first Republican president, what happened, right? There was a lot of things that just start taking into account. And then I can talk about this all day, right? But there's a lot of things we've been lied about and been made to believe, right, to become a certain way. And again, my journey to being Republican revealed a lot of those things, right? Because it's always easier to lie. It's oftentimes more easier for people to believe a big lie than believe what you're telling them is true, right? So, and it goes back to, even Christianity, right? I can tell you how good God is, right? I can show you what Jesus did for me, but until you experience for yourself, it's just me just telling you, right? And I can tell you all day, right? But you have to be in a position to open up and say, hey, maybe there is something I don't know, and say then you're able to then more receive more of the information. And again, it was a personal journey for me, and I think a lot of people are going on through that journey now, because there's a lot of information that's just being put out there, right? There's a lot of information that's now just readily available, and people are starting to examine for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
I want to shout out real quick a local celebrity, probably Baltimore's original favorite Republican. Sister ran for mayor and kind of paved the way, teaches and taught a lot of us hood dudes to understand the electoral process. One of my favorite teachers and mentors, Catalina Bird. I love you so much. If you're still on here, I hope you can hear that. And there's a question been posed. Are you two retired? Because she declared her retirement a few years ago. Are you two retired to be a guest on the Chop Shop? We need an answer today.
Yeah, she always say she's retired, but she be working.
Listen, man, this sister brilliant. That's the only
Facts.
way I know how to describe her. Absolutely brilliant, and I love it to life. But Jovani, I want to ask you because there is the lawsuit against the school system that's out there, and one of the questions that I've been asked before is that Patterson family thing, or is that a peace thing? And where is the line drawn between that particular initiative or that particular lawsuit and the initiatives that Peace is supporting more at the community level?
Right. So this it's a good question, and actually there is another entity that's involved, and it's actually called it's a nonprofit called P.E.A.C.E, and that's really what's it's my organization called P.E.A.C.E. It's just not necessarily public yet, but that's what's really driving the public and civic engagement initiatives, right? So the education, kind of has its own thing, in focusing on, bringing transparency back to our schools, and peace, by definition, is a ballot issue committee. So we focus on, ballot initiatives, and then, there's some other things that we're able to do under it. But P.E.A.C.E, from a technical and legal perspective, like that's what's, really kind of driving the educational and political accountability and transparency. So that's what it is. So you'll see more about P.E.A.C.E coming up pretty, shortly. But it's just there's some weird legal stuff that you gotta just take care of. But
now we're gonna give you some time on it because Chelsea already put you on the hot seat once.
Yeah.
I also want to. Are there any current legislative measures? We know that we're kind of approaching another election cycle, and since the question has already been asked about your candidacy, are there any? To be honest with you, Question K was a showstopper last time. Like,
Yeah.
Man, it was the hottest issue on the ballot because most of the seats, I could have probably told you how they were going to turn out, right? We didn't see much turnover. I don't think, did we see any new councilmen? Well, I know we seen a new councilman in the 7th, but that's because the 7th district council seat and Shannon Sneed's seat, they chose to run for president, I believe it was. But we didn't really see much turnover. Is there going to be a hot button ballot issue? Is Peace working on anything right now that we should be paying attention to and listening out for?
Look, so there's been some there's been a lot of talks about like the economic aspects of our property taxes. Now, I absolutely love talking about this because I'm a nerd, but property taxes is one of those things that you don't really realize is how it impacts development of communities, development of economic opportunities, business owners, entrepreneurs, those type of things, right? So, and Jane Miller and I forget Stephen Janis now have been premiering a film. I forget what it's called, but it's been talking about the issue with property taxes. And there's a Loyola professor that wrote the book called Boomtowns and talking about how addressing the property tax issue actually increases and tackling it increases economic development. And ironically, right, when you reduce property taxes, it increases the amount of taxes that goes to government. It's been proven time and time again. So we are going to put forth, I believe we're going to put forth a ballot initiative to reduce the amount of property taxes that Baltimore citizens are paying. Now, Baltimore's property taxes, one, double any of the surrounding jurisdictions, right? So it's over double any of the surrounding jurisdictions: Baltimore County, Anne Arundel County, Harford County, the highest in the state of Maryland, and it's one of the highest in the country.
Wow.
Now, we may not realize that, but we have one of the highest property tax rates in the country. Now, also, what we also don't realize about the property tax issue is there's something called personal property tax as well for business owners, right? So when you have a business You buy your printers, you buy your your TVs, your equipment
It's that
for
quarterly filing, ain't it?
yeah, but it not only is it you have to claim all this stuff and pay taxes on it regularly, right? That rate is double what the Baltimore City property tax rate is, right? So we're setting, unless you're a well-connected developer, unless you got deep pockets, you're not creating jobs in Baltimore. You're not coming into Baltimore. And if we start looking at what's happening to the population of Baltimore, we're losing 600 residents a month. Mm-hmm. And the majority of those residents that are leaving are Black folks. What's happening right now without addressing the property tax rate is gentrification.
I'm glad that you brought that up, because I think it's just only been recently. I know for me, it's only been the last couple of months that we've been hearing what had been characterized as gentrification for years has really turned into, or even been better translated as, a mass exodus of people of color who are leaving these neighborhoods and communities. And we know that the egregious level of taxation and some cases the lack of representation shifts us right into a conversation about crime and things of that nature. When you, as a person who is a Baltimorean, who's committed, who's connected, who has not become one of those people who we stopped seeing after you lost an election, when you look at the current state of things, specifically around juvenile violence, and I'm not even sure because we've never had this kind of conversation, how does that impact the focus of an organization like P.E.A.C.E, whether it ties and connects some of the things you guys are already focused on, or if it says, hey, we need to expand to start looking at some of this stuff as you push for legislative change?
So I think I think we all have a role to play, right? And I think the youth violence issue is critical, right? And that's why we're doing the things what we're doing with education. But I think it's more important to form coalitions than everybody trying to do a little bit on one thing, right?
What do you think stops that, Jovani? Because that I've been, even on the faith side of things, it's been in my heart, and I haven't said anything publicly to really find. And I know we have the conference, the Ministers Conference of Baltimore and vicinity, and not so much what they do, but it's been literally on my heart about calling for a clergy collaboration, because we have so many churches in Baltimore. The only thing that we have a tendency to own in our community at times is the Black church. Literally a clergy collaboration because of some of the things that God has blessed me to be able to do in the community. What do you think hinders the collaborative thinking around some of these things that need to happen, so you have all of these smaller initiatives and one-offs and things? What's the real? I don't know, they say this the crab town, but I want to hear from you. What do you think is the hindrance?
So I think we get too siloed in our issue and don't realize
how they connect.
Right. One, like it's not our issues that divide us. But they're symptoms. Oftentimes, they're symptoms of bigger issues, and they really should unite us, right? Mm-hmm. That's why you see oftentimes certain advocates going at other advocates when you guys are both advocating for something, for positive change. Mm-hmm. But because you two can't get along, we're unable to really join forces and really build that coalition to actually really get things done. So I think there's value to the powers that be to keep the issues segmented, so we keep this infighting going on. But we have to start peeling back a little bit and saying that our issues are what unites us more than they do divide us. Mm-hmm. And I think if we can get through that on a grassroots level, we're unstoppable, right? We are the voters, right? Mm-hmm. If there's one thing that unites us, is that we are the top box called the voters, the people of Baltimore, right? That's what we are. And at least from my perspective, I think that's one of my objectives again, returning power back to the people is remembering where your power is. And regardless of what your issue is, knowing that you have the power. And if your issue isn't getting resolved and your issue isn't getting resolved, that doesn't mean we fight. That means, okay, so there's an issue going up that we need to address and work on together.
It ties together in so many different layers too. And my co-host, y'all please jump in. But it ties together in so many different layers because when I think about the school situation, I think about how many people I talk to that are literally saying they're abandoning Baltimore because of the school system itself. I personally, my 6 adult children, all are Baltimore City High School graduates except one, and that's because she lived in Georgia. Well, except 2. One because he went to the Maryland School for the Deaf for high school, and the other one because she lived in Georgia. But my baby, my 3-year-old, I ain't even contemplating the possibility of him coming up in Baltimore City Public Schools. And it's because probably beyond grade school, I don't see any value anywhere in the system. And I'm not talking about that you don't have your role in parks and those few, but I hate the fact that we have such a segregated school system and segregated standards where you got a top 5 high school system. City, I don't even know if we can count Dunbar no more. They had more shootings and stuff over there, but City, Dunbar, Poly, Western, and it's one I'm probably forgetting. But you know that whole ideology without having, in Baltimore County, you go to school where you zone. In Baltimore, we got a composite score system, and we don't see that as segregation.
But I think it goes back again, remembering your power, right? Why did things get the way they are, right? Because oftentimes, in more recent years, rather, it's because we allowed it to. And I know people find that offensive of what I'm saying, but part of it is because one, civic engagement, civic education has been removed from our public education. Two, we've said, the vote, my vote doesn't matter. What I elect, it doesn't count. It doesn't affect me, right? So in a lot of ways, a lot of aspects, we've allowed this to happen. So what I'm suggesting is that let's remember, right, that we have the power to change a lot of this stuff, but it starts with taking responsibility, right? I can't say I can't say I need to hold the mayor accountable if I can't say to myself I need to hold myself accountable, right? So it starts by saying, by everybody has their role to play, right?
Right.
We're not asking Lamar Jackson to play safety, right? And if we're complaining,
Great analogy, bro.
if
Gotta give you props on that one.
Right? If we're complaining about Lamar Jackson getting beat deep every game, well, Lamar Jackson don't play safety, right? And right now, I do believe, to the mayor's credit and to the position of the mayor, I do think we've put too much on the plate of the government. The government right now trying to be the daddy, trying to be the mama, trying to establish curfews, trying to, do X, Y, Z, when my street still ain't got paid. Right?
Jovani, that's a perspective of this thing that I don't think people get about you or about peace. I have never heard you go after a person or a candidate or an official. It's always about the issue. Is that a deliberate thing when it comes down to peace? Because we know you guys have focused on legislative changes being made. But I commend you for that, man, because it's, one of the things I'm getting tired of hearing is I'm really, and listen, y'all know I don't endorse anybody, but I'm getting tired of hearing people bash Brandon, you know what I mean? As opposed to really, and I think that takes so much attention off of the issues.
Right.
But peace seems to have had a successful focus on the issues. Talk to us. Is that deliberate? Is that a part of your guys' profile platform? Talk to us about that, because I think it's amazing.
Well, I think, like, if someone specifically is doing something wrong specifically in that action, like, you should call it out, right? There's just something that you should do. But what we've been focused on, right, are the issues, right? The issue of political incumbency, right? The issue of property taxes, the issue of, we talked about recalls before, or the issue of what's going on in the government. These are issues that we can unite on, right? Because I think I don't know a single person that doesn't want a better Baltimore City, right? And I believe we can unite on wanting Baltimore to be better. And again, my The mission objective is to bring power back to the hands of the people. And we just have to find people that want to have that power back in their hands because it belongs in their hands.
So, Giovanni, when are you going? Well, not when you're going to go back to. I know I missed the Power Up community meeting for my district. I know you have something coming up this month, but how often are you planning on having those meetings so that the community can get engaged, and how can we share that information so that people will know about it?
So the best way to get information, just subscribe on peacebaltimore.com. You can also follow the Facebook page. It's Peace Baltimore. But yeah, so our next Power Up series meeting, and I do want to talk about why it's called a Power Up series now, because we were calling them town halls. But our next one is next Tuesday at 6 p.m. You have to check the flyer for the address. But it's going to be District 14. And my objective and reason why we're calling these Power Up series is because, again, it goes back to voter engagement, voter empowerment. Like I work in cybersecurity, right? And I work in as a professional, I help fix computers, fix networks, but really design them. But you
really are a nerd. That's my brother, y'all. That's my brother.
Yo said really design them. But anyway,
like nonchalant. I really designed them.
I really designed them.
My brain hurt when you said it.
But look, there's something. All right, so when you're first encountering a challenge, right, or you're trying to fix a problem for whether it's an end user or a network, right, understanding first how it's supposed to work gives you so much power. Right, because you're coming in with this issue, you say, all right, how do I fix it? Well, how does it supposed to work? Right, and we have in a lot of areas we haven't started there. Right, so the first thing that gives the power back to the people is examining the city charter. Right, let's look at the city charter, understand how this works. Right, and then what's in it, and then the second thing is saying, hey, all right, so what about this is not working? Right. So then we examine and say, hey, okay, so this isn't working in the city charter. And then we say, hey, how do we change that? Or what do we need to update? Or what aspects of the city charter do we need to execute? Right. Because there are items in the city charter that the people can execute on. Right. There's already a recall process in this Baltimore City charter. Right. I think it's a little convoluted. It can be changed, but it's there. Right. But how many people have we talked about? How do you remove the mayor, or how do you remove a city council president, or how do you remove a city council or a comptroller? How do you do these things? Right. No one talks about these things. If and this is what I say, politics is not set and forget, it's set and inspect, because when the position is not doing what it's supposed to do, right, you should have the power to change that, whether it's through the vote in election time, or if it's bad enough that there can be changes mid cycle, right? But like I said, man, empowering people. So these are called Power Up meetings because we want to encourage the community and encourage people to get back involved in understanding where their power truly lies in the political process, and it's not at the bottom.
Jovani, we thank you for being with us tonight, y'all. Y'all can catch up on everything Jovani is talking about by subscribing at www.peacebaltimore.com. You can always catch him on Fox 45, giving the people the fire. Peace Baltimore is also the Facebook page. Bro, I thank you for coming through, man, because, again, I love the fact that you don't make anything about a bunch of rhetoric focusing on individuals and name calling and finger pointing, but you are teaching the community to really be able to be conscious, cognizant, and aware of the issues and how to vote that way. We hosted one of the power-up sessions, one of the early ones. Hopefully we'll get to be able to do that again at the Victory House Worship Center, 1063 West Fayette Street, Baltimore, Maryland, 21223. That's right. That was a shameless plug. Get it back this time. We need y'all to come fill the place and have the conversations. Understand what you need to understand so we can improve our community. As always, I got to thank Double L herself, Miss High Take, Lady Lisha, and I got to thank Thekeptwoman, Chelsea, Thekeptwoman, for being with us tonight. My right hand, my left hand, my main man, Mr. Shaka Pitts, on the ones and twos. Thank you for everything you do, but more than anything, we got to thank you, our viewing and listening audience, for coming out, showing up. Listen, share this. It's going to be posted on both Facebook and YouTube, and I think it is that time that we start trying to push to really elevate the platform a little bit more, because y'all, we are bringing the conversation that you need to hear to be informed, to make the choices that we need to make to produce change. Last week, Dr. Tyrone Powers brought the fire. This week, my brother Jovani brought solid information and brought the fire. And I just need y'all to tune in next week to make sure that you are getting more of the solid information. Jovani told me that he gonna help me get Uripsy on here, man. Uripsy Morgan is one of my favorite on-air personalities at WBAL. She stepped down so she could make a run for Congress, and now she's sitting with P.E.A.C.E and being one of the change agents that's making things happening over there. We want to get her voice on here. And listen, y'all, I thank y'all so much. I always say every week before we sign off, trust God, trust in the Lord with all your heart, lean not to your own understanding, in all your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your path. Be the change that you need to see. Find that area of influence that you have right where you are. We leaving at an alarming rate. Jovani talked about it tonight, but that's not going to bring about the change for the people who don't have the opportunity to leave like you had the opportunity to leave. Let's plant our flag somewhere, stay there and make it better. And above and beyond everything else, always remember that you can be more. We love you, Baltimore. Thank you for tuning in.
Happy Father's Day.
I can be more. There's nothing that I can't achieve if I just believe. You can be more. You can make every dream a reality. We can be more. Be more, be more.
Yeah.
I can be more.
I wake up every day and try to be more. I pray I be more. It's easy to achieve anything you believe. Like hold your head high. Girl, you got a reason to breathe. I see a rare mind. Boy, you got a reason to dream. Let's take flight. Give the children a reason to see redemption. We grow up in the jacks where it's evil and wicked. Where the people with success don't want to send you a visit. But we still finna make this life